Here's Dad getting some more books that he doesn't need. And I'm hoping he puts this in his next video. Look how excited he is. Good luck. Good luck.
Morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Want to bring you a February book haul this morning. And I was going to wait until later this week. I was thinking maybe I was going to get a chance to go do a little bit more book shopping, but just the way things are working out, I don't believe that's going to happen. But this last weekend, I picked up some books. I got some freebies, and I also got some ones I paid a little bit for, but not much. And so I just wanted to share the newest additions to the book collection. So let's get started. First one I've got here is I believe the only piece of fiction that I picked up, and it's called South of Shiloh by Chuck Logan. I have not ever read it. The reason I picked it up is the Civil War theme there, and the back of it says, middle-aged men with the eager eyes of boys are drawn here to relive history, to wear blue and gray, and to touch off blanks in reproduction Civil War rifles. Playing guns, all that is about to change. So it sounds like a little bit maybe of a murder mystery, and sounds like it's actually in modern times, maybe not in Civil War times. So when I first grabbed it, I probably got maybe a little bit fooled, didn't look at the back cover. I was just, yay, Civil War book. But that's okay. I can read it, and if I don't like it, I can pass it on to somebody else. So that's the first one that I picked up. Now, I probably need to explain the next bunch here. When I was a kid, I don't know if you guys remember those old Landmark biographies. There was a bunch of them. Anyway, when I was a kid, that was really what first got me started in reading, was those Landmark biographies. And I can't tell you how many of those things I read. I read all that I could find. And so I picked up a whole bunch of them here, of Landmark biographies and others that are pretty much like those from it'd be like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 1940s, 50s, and 60s. And so maybe it doesn't mean much to you, but maybe it's just a nostalgic thing for me. I really like them, and they're in really good shape for the most part. So I went to the public library, who's cleaning out their shelves a little bit. They're getting ready to go electronic, and I think they wanted to make life a little bit easier. So they're getting rid of some of the ones that maybe don't get read very much, and I was happy to pick some of those up. So the first one that I got was Iron Chancellor, Otto von Bismarck by Alfred Apsler. And I thought that was a good looking volume. There's the author. That might show the age of the book a little bit, but the book is in like really good shape. There's a little bit of a tear mark on the opening page, but that's just where the library sleeve was from the card. But this book is 1968. So anyway, tight binding, and just I like the cover. I like that front cover. So my next book was Frontier President, The Life of James K. Polk by Bill Severn. And another one that's in really good shape, and I kind of like the artwork on that too. I know it's nothing real special, but I like it. And this is a Ives Washburn Incorporated from New York, 1965. Again, the 1960s. Well, let's hold that one for a minute. Let's see. Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, Their Lives, Their Times, Their Duel by Anna Erskine, Krauss and Russell Krauss. That's got some really cool artwork on it too. The book is in really good shape. Like, you don't find these type of books usually in great shape. This one's a 1958 edition, first printing. And you know, normally you find these they're really ragged and beat up, but these are really, really tight. I don't know if you can, you know, see the binding and everything on those. I was really tickled to get those. And if you didn't know what I was talking about by Landmark, okay, there's that. It was just that series of biographies that they did a biography on just about anybody ever born in the United States, it seemed like. But I ate them up as a kid and thoroughly enjoyed them. So here's the next one, Leading the Lawmakers by Sam Rayburn. Leading the Lawmakers, Sam Rayburn, by Edward Allen. That was kind of a goof up on my part. But this is a Encyclopedia Britannica Press, and it would be from 1963. So there's that one. Sam Rayburn was big in the Congress in the 30s, 40s, 50s, I believe. I think that's when he was going full bore. The next one, Adlai Stevenson, Citizen of the World, also by Bill Severn. Okay, Adlai Stevenson, if you remember, he ran for president several times. There's the back cover, that's kind of neat. One of the conferences. United Nations Security Council in session. Let's see here. This one was a David McKay Company Incorporated out of New York, and that would be a 1966 book. This one was really neat, and again, really tight binding. I'm excited to have it. Long Eye and the Iron Horse, a biography of Grenville Dodge and the Union Pacific Railroad. And this is by Dorothy Wood. Vivid red there. Okay. And this is a 1966. Now, again, these books are little kid books. I totally get that. They're young. I don't even know. I don't want to call them young adult. They're probably 3rd and 4th and 5th grade level. Maybe 4th, 5th grade level. But I always enjoyed them when I was reading, and I ate them up. So anyway, here's The Doctors Who Conquered Yellow Fever by Ralph Nading Hill. And again, the Landmark. But I just like these. They bring back a lot of fond memories for me. It's what got me started reading when I was a kid. This is a 1957 book. And I'll be honest, when I was a kid, life wasn't always great, and books were a great escape for me. They took me to a whole new world, or at least around the United States anyway. And they let me know that there's something else out there. And I've always loved my books. And so anyway, enough. I'm digressing here. Here's Sam Colt and His Gun. And this does not have a dust jacket on it. And Sam Colt and His Gun is by Gertrude Hecker Winders. And it's a John Day Company out of New York, 1959. And it looks like it's got some, most of these will have pencil drawings in them, sketches. And then some of them will have the occasional actual photo. So here is Prisoner of the Indies, The Adventures of Miles Phillips, as told by Jeffrey Household. And I had never heard of that one. This one will be a new one for me. Just looked like it was something different. Again, in excellent shape. These could almost be new. And this is a this one is a 1968 book. 1968. All right, now here is a volume. It's called The Torch Is Passed, and I'm going to guess a lot of you. It's put together by the Associated Press, and I'm going to guess a lot of you have probably seen this before. It's kind of a big book, real thin volume, but good sized book. It's all about John F. Kennedy and his funeral, and it's just got lots of wonderful pictures in it from the funeral. Most of these I would consider iconic photos. You've seen, if you know anything about Kennedy, you've seen all these photos. So the book basically goes on his trip to Texas and goes through the assassination and then the switch in power. So there's that photo of Lyndon Johnson taking office, but it's got a whole lot of photos in it, and it's just kind of a neat, probably more of a keepsake thing. I have one at school that the kids tend to use for their projects, for if they do anything on Kennedy, and so I thought this is a really nice copy. I wouldn't mind having that at home. So there's one for my collection at home. All right, and here's the last book that I got from the public library. It's Theodore Roosevelt's Letters to His Children, and I thought that would be really nice to have with my Theodore Roosevelt collection. There's no pictures or anything in this. It's just real simple, the letters throughout his life, and obviously written by Theodore Roosevelt himself, but it is edited by Joseph Buckland Bishop out of New York, Charles Scribner and Sons, 1919. So this would have been because I believe 1919 is when he died, either 1918 or 1919. I can't remember, I forget, but anyway, this would have been, this is going to go real nice with my Theodore Roosevelt collection. So those books were all free. Got those out of the public library, the collection that they were getting rid of. And I was out at Wiseman's this weekend also, and of course I couldn't say no to some of the books that I found. And so let me share some of those with you. This one is called The Map That Changed the World, William Smith and the Birth of Modern Geology. So I'm getting a little bit out of my realm on this one. This is it looked interesting. I don't know why, but it did. It's by Simon Winchester. And so there's that book. I picked it up for 50 cents, and you really can't go wrong with 50 cents. But it's got a lot of illustrations and stuff in it. Let me find. Well, I thought it did. Hang on. There was one. So it's got a lot of different little illustrations, and it's just talking about something about, and I just briefly ran through it, but it was about the mapping out of with Britain and how they here's the middle, how they created these illustrations, these maps. And I don't really want to try to explain it because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to sound like I know what I'm talking about. So let me read it first, and then later I'll share with you. But it it has a lot of fossils. It's dealing with the fossil record and that kind of stuff. And I just thought it was kind of interesting. And again, probably getting out of my realm on my expertise there to even try to spin you a good yarn on what that book could be about. I'm just going to be quiet. So anyway, moving on to the next one. Here's a book called The Dark Side of Camelot by Seymour M. Hersh, and you can probably guess what that one's about. The Kennedy family. And I've never read this. I'm going to guess that Steve Donahue's read this. He seems to have read everything else about Kennedy. I was listening to him on his show, or not his show, his channel last night, and was listening to some of the mail haul he got, and he got one in on Kennedy. And I would hate to be a book writer and be wrong or just write a bad book about the Kennedys and expect to get good publicity, because I'm pretty sure Steve would nail them down. But anyway, Here's a couple of books. Now, I just got done telling you in one of those last videos that I don't like presidential biographies. Now, let me step back. The biographies that I'm talking about are the ones that come out during the election. Those 250, 300-page volumes that are basically just publicity books that are trying to get them elected. I don't like those. Can't stand them. Never have. I never buy them. I've had people say, hey, there's this book on John McCain. Did you get it? There's this book on Barack Obama. Did you get it? And I'm like, no. And I'm not going to. I don't want to clog up my shelves with those. And who knows, maybe someday I'll change my mind and go back and, just do comparative stuff of before and after the presidencies. I don't know. But anyway, I got a couple of biographies that I found at Wiseman about the Bush family. So I did break my rule a little bit, but they're not the biographies that come before the election. The ones that are before the election are the ones I don't really care for. But this one is called 41, A Portrait of My Father by George W. Bush. And I always had I will admit, I always had a little bit of a soft spot for Senior, simply because when I was a kid, that I was in first grade, and that was the first election that I remember. I mean, I went through a couple others, but that's the one I actually remember. 1988, when he was running for president against Michael Dukakis. And I remember going through the elementary elections and voting for him in the elementary elections. And you would be surprised at why I voted for him. Keep in mind, I was a first grader. My foster dad drank Bush beer. I voted for George Bush when I was in first grade, mind you, because of Bush beer. And yes, I do realize they are spelled differently. Bush beer and Bush the family. Anyway, thought maybe you'd find that a little bit funny. But in first grade, that's how my mind worked. But anyway, moving forward. The next one that I'd picked up was Decision Points by George W. Bush. And these books were in really, really good shape. Whoever had these before me took good care of them. So I really like that cover. I don't know why. It's just, I think it looks sharp. It's very professional looking. And so I hope this book will be a decent biography on the president, or autobiography on the president. And then, last but not least, this is the book that really caught my eye first, because the George Bush's books were at the bottom of a couple piles. And this is the one that caught my eye, and I don't know why it caught my eye, but it did. And it's called Cook, The Extraordinary Voyages of Captain James Cook by Nicholas Thomas. And I don't know if this book's actually any good, but the cover looked really cool. The artwork, the painting. And then, of course, it carries over to the back cover. But, I don't have a whole bunch of stuff on the Explorers. Something I probably need to expand in my collection a little bit for American history and for world history both. And so I picked that up and thought that was going to be a good read. But anyway, that was my book haul, my February book haul. Now, there might be a part 2. It just kind of depends on how things go this weekend. But for right now, that's my February book haul. I hope you enjoyed looking at the new stuff I picked up for my collection. And have a great day. Happy reading.